24. Women throughout the world have struggled in the past for their social, economic and political status, and the struggle still goes on. Women stand at the center of every dramatic change that occurs in the world today. We have with us today Melanne Verveer, the United States Ambassador at Large for Global Women's Issue. Welcome to the show, Your Excellency.
Thank you so much.
Ambassador, your title, the United States Ambassador at Large for Global Women's Issue, what does that mean?
Well, the position that I have in my country is a new position that President Obama created with Secretary Clinton. And it acknowledges that in today's world, we cannot solve many of the challenges that confront us, whether they have to do with economic issues, governance, the environment, security, unless women are really participating at all levels of society. That no country can really get ahead if it leaves half of its people behind. And so women are absolutely critical to the kind of outcomes we all want to see in our world, in our countries, in our communities. And my job is first and foremost to help integrate these issues in America's foreign policy, because my position is in our foreign ministry, and that means all of the things that happen at the State Department, if they have to do with Southeast Asia or with human rights or with economic matters, that we look at applying a women's lens as well, a gender lens, to ensure that we get the best possible outcomes.
As you said that your office is within the foreign ministry, of the United States. Why does it place so much emphasis on women's issue? Is it because it is primarily a human rights issue?
Well, it is a human rights issue, but today this issue is also an economics issue. It is a good governance issue. It is critical to security. For example, when it comes to economic issues, we know that in societies, in countries, where women and men are more equal, and in no place are they completely equal yet, on health, education, economic participation, political empowerment, in those countries, they are much more prosperous and economically competitive.
I think the same thing is addressed in your 55th Commission of United Nations for Status of Women. Does it address all women problem?
Well, you know, there are so many challenges that our world still needs to address when it comes to the equality of men and women in society. And almost 20 years ago now, the UN Fourth World Conference on Women that took place in Beijing put together a platform for action. All of our countries endorsed it. And it, in many ways, is still a very ambitious blueprint by which we measure the progress we are making. And these have been consistent markings for the work of the United Nations, have buttressed the Millennium Development Goals, and so much else by which we try to create better conditions in our countries and our world. And that is about access to health, to education, to be free from violence, to be able to participate fully in the economic life of one's country, to be able to have an equal voice in political decision-making, to participate in creating the critical conditions that buttress peace, which is obviously a huge issue here in Nepal, critical to environmental progress. So these are fundamental issues. They are the the critical challenges that we need to see progress on everywhere we live.
I believe this is your second visit to Nepal,
It is.
a country that has gone through many changes, especially after the insurgency, the Maoist insurgency. So what do you have to say about the status of women in Nepal?
Well, I did come here in 1995 with Hillary Clinton when she was First Lady of the United States. And I remember that visit as though it was yesterday. And it was a different time, clearly. But it left us with a keen understanding of the challenges that were here during those years and the difference that women were trying to make to address them. And to come back now, at the beginning of 2012, and to come at this critical juncture in the life of your country, when you have this conflict behind you, and you are charting the course for the new Nepal, is particularly exciting for me. And I want to congratulate everyone in Nepal who worked on the National Action Plan on Women, Peace, and Security, because your country, like my country, have adopted a plan that clearly shows that as decisions get made here, our plan is that we be good partners in conflict-affected countries and countries with political transitions. Yours affects directly your country in that situation. And what it says very basically is that in matters of peace and security, matters here to create the kind of sustainable peace that will continue, to create the kind of stability everybody wants to see, to create a better life for the people here, we need to ensure that women are fully participating, that they are protected from violence, that there is impunity is addressed, and that as economic conditions and plans are put forward, that they are full partners in that as well. So the full range of activities that must be addressed as you go forward really need to have the continuing engagement of the women here. And you have many important decisions ahead of you. A constitution to be written, very serious questions about the structure of your government, the quality of the participation of women in that government, the representation levels, issues having to do with citizenship, and just a range of so many important aspects of life here that will, whatever decisions are made, will affect this country in very significant ways in the months and years ahead. So I came here as our government has been participating through our ambassador and the embassy here to find ways and support ways in which we can continue to be good partners with you, to ensure that the good intentions that you all have on the road to progress that you want to make can be fulfilled. And I think to be here for me at this historic time in the life of Nepal, at this very critical juncture, as I said, is one that makes me understand just how important the decisions that you all will be making are. And having said that, in the 2.5 days that I have been here, I have been blessed with so many extraordinary meetings with women political leaders from the Constituent Assembly across all the parties, with the key figures from government and from civil society who helped to write and are now working to implement the National Action Plan, with businesswomen, entrepreneurs who are critical to growing jobs and growing opportunity here, with NGOs who are fighting human trafficking and violence against women, with police women who are playing a very critical role in protecting women and children and ensuring that law enforcement is executed well, just with a range of people. And I leave here tonight, in fact, just really feeling inspired by the quality and the commitment and the dedication and the desire that so many here have to chart a course that will create a brighter future. So we want to continue to work with the people of this country, with the government that comes into being, and I met with many officials here too, to commit to that kind of close partnership and friendship.
During your two days visit to Nepal, you met different organizations that are working for the welfare of women. You must have heard about the reestablishment of post-trafficked women, as they are not reestablished. What do you suggest the government, the organizations that are looking for them, that are helping them, what do you suggest them, how to reestablish them?
Well, this is a very critical issue. At its root, it is about the lack of economic opportunity, the desperate need to find ways to have an income to better one's life. And today in our world, there is a network of criminals who are operating across borders in this country, outside of this country, all over the world. These traffickers who exploit women and children and men, and it is a very lucrative business. It is a multi-billion-dollar business, and women think that they are going to have this opportunity. They are tricked often by women in their own villages, in their own community, with the prospect of a good new life, and what they do is find themselves in a nightmare. And I was at one of the NGOs yesterday, and I met with some of the women who were fortunate to come back. And they were fortunate that the NGO was working with them to help grow their skills so that they can now be gainfully employed, can be reintegrated, can have a better life. I also met with a woman who had arrived the night before, who had a broken back, who had serious lesions from the abuse that she suffered. And it was heartbreaking to see her in that situation. And I think there are many things that have to be done. The government has to do its part. This issue cannot be addressed and tackled without the full support of the government. That means regulating these brokers of jobs who want to match jobs in the Gulf states or in other places with people here. They have to be honest brokers. They need to be real jobs where one won't be exploited. And government has a role to ensure that these brokers are above board, as we say. There is a agency in your government, the Ministry for Women and Children, that needs to be resourced. It has primary responsibilities in this area. It needs to have the kind of support that it deserves. There also is an interministerial group, a task force on trafficking, that has come up with a plan, and I met with the Chief Secretary today and we discussed this. That plan obviously needs to be supported and fully implemented. The police need to be able to recognize the victims of trafficking and what they need to do.
As you mentioned before, the U.S. National Action Plan for Women's Security and Peace. What does that mean? What is it really?
What it means is, and let me tell you where it comes from, because we just launched our own plan in the United States, just as Nepal has a plan. And about 10 years ago, in the Security Council of the United Nations, that part of the United Nations that has the direct responsibility on the issues of high security, determined that women are linked to peace and security. If we want to see sustainable peace, if we want to ensure security and stability, women have to be part of that process. They have to participate in peace negotiations and in what happens going forward, the kind of transition that you're going through now. That they need to be protected, that there's great violence that women suffer in times of conflict. There has to be a healing process. Impunity has to be addressed. Those who've perpetrated serious crimes, rapists, and other kinds of things need to meet the system of justice. And it means that as the society is being healed by all of these kinds of proper decisions being made, and as it is addressing the needs of the people economically, that women are participating in that. It's not about a favor to women. It is about really having a sustainable peace that will not bring a conflict or start another conflict. It means that life will truly get better. And to get there, we need everybody participating, men and women, but we have to recognize that 51% of the population are women. They have borne a great deal of the woes of this conflict, and they are critical agents in your society in moving Nepal forward. So that's what the National Action Plan is about. We in the United States have adopted our own plan where we have committed our government, whether it's the Defense Ministry or it's the Development Agency, AID, or it's the diplomatic arm of the government, the State Department, that in the work that we do in areas of conflict or areas in political transitions, that we as a government recognize, as we're working in other countries, that we do everything we can to support bringing women into the process, supporting the agency that they represent. And that's what we hope to do, is to work closely with all of you.
Does that national plan pertain only within U.S. or does it have any foreign policy implications as well?
It has significant foreign policy implications because it is about our conduct, our relations to other countries that are in conflict, coming out of conflict, like here, or going through a very significant political transition, like in the countries that we refer to as the Arab Spring, Egypt, Tunisia, Libya, for example. And that in our diplomatic role, our development role, our role militarily, that we are ourselves ensuring that we are factoring in the role that women need to play and supporting them in their countries and in trying to help move societies to closure on conflict and better times ahead in sustainable peace and economic prosperity.
We're talking about women all around the world. Now, what about the women in the U.S.? The American women, they too have struggled long. Have the struggle finished?
I don't think the struggle is ever finished. I wish it were. But we have to continue to work at it. You know, there was a day when, a long time ago, some 160 plus years ago, when women couldn't vote in the United States. The wages that they earned, they often couldn't keep. If they were in miserable marriages, they couldn't get a divorce. Often they couldn't access education. Well, that was a long time ago. And fortunately, things have changed incredibly. And women are participating in great numbers. We now have half of our workforce, half of the workers in America in the formal workforce are women. And I think that's where some of our greatest challenges still are, to ensure that women can balance the obligations and responsibilities they have. Those who are parents can balance that with their work outside the home, and that we can ensure that wages are equal for comparable work, and that the quality of the work environment is one that responds to the peculiar needs that women have. So life is always can be perfected. You know, our democracy is over 200 years old, and our Constitution says that we are working at forming a new democracy, creating a vibrant democracy, and that's something we have to do every day. So the work for equality goes on, and I think it is the kind of thing where one always has to be vigilant, one always has to be dedicated, and one always has to work to create a better life wherever one finds themselves. But I often tell women that in my country we had an Equal Rights Convention that took place about 160 years ago. And women in those days, many of them traveled to this convention in hopes of a better life and in hopes of achieving equality. And I say that we are all still on that road wherever we live. We are on the road to equality.
We are talking about women. Now, what role do men play in all these issues?
A big role, because none of this progress for women happens without the men. And violence against women, for example, can only be addressed by really working with men, changing mindsets, raising boys in ways that they understand what is proper behavior and not proper behavior. In this country, like every country, as you put forward a national action plan to create conditions of peace and stability and prosperity, it can't happen with the women alone. The men have to be full partners. And we have to look at these issues as not just women's issues. They are about, as I said, about everyone benefiting. When women can have a better life, families are going to have a better life. The men are going to have a better life. So men are absolutely critical in every way as full partners in all of this.
As we've seen that, various issues have been raised. But when it comes to implementation, we've seen it very poor, especially in the underdeveloped and developing nations like Nepal. Is it because female women have less access to decision making?
Well, I think that's certainly one of the reasons. You don't have as many women in critical decision-making positions, and it's not that women are better than men. It's not that men are better than women. It's that we need the perspective of both in our policy making. The decisions that are made in government affect women as much as they affect the men in society. And so there needs to be an effort made to tap the potential that women represent, their experiences, their perspectives that are so important to the quality of policy making. Now, as you said, and you are so right, we pass laws. We pass them wherever we live. We pass them here in Nepal, and wonderful laws. But then what happens? They're not enforced, they're not implemented, the monies are not appropriated so that the progress that these laws were about to produce never happens. This takes a concerted effort by everyone. It takes political will. First and foremost, the decision makers need to be committed to ensuring that these laws are going to be implemented. But obviously, if you have more women, like the vibrant women I met with here in Nepal, involved in decision making, I think there's that much more prospect of getting good implementation. If you have more women in the civil service, not just a tiny number, you have a greater commitment to ensuring that this will get done. But it really is about everybody participating to ensure those outcomes. And I think advocacy is very important. I think the role of civil society in working with government to ensure that the laws don't just get passed, but that now there is a real effort to help with the implementation, to ensure the capacity of government is there. And you know, as you create a new system here, a new system of governance, a federalism which will create bodies of governance that will be at the district level, you will need to have greater capacity at both the national level and that level to make sure that the good laws, the good regulations, the policies, the programs that will make a difference in people's lives get done. So you're right on. Implementation is absolutely critical.
Now on a lighter note, you've met various peoples, you've heard various issues. What are the issues that are closest to your heart?
Well, these issues that affect women are close to my heart. Obviously, I have worked on these issues over many years now, and I think it's one of the great moral imperatives of our time, that we really need to make sure that we respect both men and women in society. Each of us, regardless of our gender, female or male, are endowed with a human dignity, and to ensure that we all enjoy the same rights, that we all have the opportunity to make a difference, to fulfill our God-given potential. Talent is universal, but opportunity is not. And we know that when that potential is not tapped, we are all deprived. We shortchange women, but we shortchange all of us. We shortchange society. So it is a passion, clearly, for me, and I don't think that these are separated issues, that one is more important than the other. Obviously, education is so fundamental, because when you educate a girl, and you educate a family, you educate a community, you can have a transformative effect on society. Jobs are critically important for dignity, for an income, for survival. Being part of decision-making is obviously brings the ability to affect change, and to be free from violence. And to be free from violence. To be able to live your life knowing you're not going to be threatened. It is hard to imagine having to live life when the threat is always there. So these are important issues, but I think they should be important issues for everybody.
We're at the end of the show, and before leaving, I want to ask you, we've raised different issues. We've pinpointed all the drawbacks, we've pinpointed all the barriers. Now, have we been able to accomplish all our goals and combat all the barriers?
Clearly, we're not there yet. Clearly, there's a lot that stands in the way. But I think we have a good roadmap. We have a good blueprint. Here in Nepal, you have a National Action Plan on Women, Peace, and Security. We know what needs to be done. What we have to muster, wherever we live, addressing these kinds of questions, is we need political will. We have to be committed to it. We have to be dedicated to addressing it. And we have to understand fundamentally that this is important. It's not something we shove to the side. It's not that project that's nice to do. It has got to be integrated in all of the decisions that we make. But we still have a road to travel. And we can get to the end of that road. We can make progress on that road, but we will not make it unless we all work together.
Thank you for being with us and your wonderful time.
Oh, it was a pleasure to be here. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.